It's week 2, and I already feel like it's week 12. Today's episode is going to be going over, obviously, all the matchups from this week and finding out who's doing well, who's dropping. But I want to wait until a little bit later in the show to talk about where we are in the Capper contest, which there have been some real surprises there. Cut This Show was 3-0 last week. He went 0-3 this week. So that's opened up a lot of opportunities for the rest of the league to catch up to him. Now, remember, anybody is open for the Capper contest. All you got to do, comment your picks into the comment section of the Quick Six video each week. It's not about who has the most points. It's about the percentage. I want to know the percentage. Because if anybody's hitting over 51%, guess what? Your ass is off to Vegas and you're going to be a pro handicapper. So, again, Capper contest is open to anybody. The person who was dominating with his 3-0 start, Cup This Chubb, is terrible. He went 0-3 this week. So get ready. Let's start the show. I should clarify you need at least 3 picks per week in order to qualify for the giveaway. Last year, we gave away a Justice Haynes game day jersey. This year, I want to give something a little bit more special. So please, anybody and anybody, come join the Capper contest. Have some fun. Join the community. I think it's going to be a great time. First, we're going to take a look at Chase This Chua against Achilles heel, my Achilles heel. This game was over basically as soon as it started. Tua went down on the field in a moment that we can relive here if you want to. Oh, yeah. Super classy. This is going to be great. We all know what happens here. Tua's going to get the ball. He's going to do a heroic scramble for a first down and then forget that his head is made of butter. Then we had Jamar Chase acting absolutely pedestrian. Ramondre was really the one bright spot on this team. Javonte doing great in the start. And Trey McBride recovering a touchdown that was not passed to him in the end zone. It took all of that, all these miraculous occurrences for me to get to 87 points. Things are not looking well for me for the rest of the season. But hope rings eternal, supposedly. Then again, over on Achilles' heels team, number 1, Jalen Hurts, looking like a real QB1. Even in the loss, he was able to get above his projection, 23 points. The rushing totals, the rushing touchdown, 85 rushing yards. Like, it sucks because I always go for, who's the better pocket passer? Who's going to be able to look more like Peyton Manning? Because I'm still obsessed with Peyton Manning from 15 years ago. No, in today's NFL, and especially today's fantasy football league, you gotta have the mobile quarterback. And it wouldn't be Jalen Hurts without a little tush push action in the red zone. Too easy, makes it look automatic. It's a cheat code. It's a cheat code. And by mobile, I do not mean like Tua, where you go mobile and then you die on a routine tackle. I wish him all the best. I hope he comes back. I just hope he comes back in like 4 years when his brain has finally had time to heal. Next up, we got Troy versus Megatron. And this one is just sad because going into the season, I said Troy was going to be one of the most dangerous teams just by virtue of having CMC. Well, he doesn't have CMC and he doesn't have Puka Nakua. So he is essentially a rambling corpse, just trying to find some brains to eat. And Antoine made quick work of him this week. Anthony Richardson did not perform up to expectations. CeeDee Lamb had a great game. I think, though, that the real highlights of this game, it's not going to come from CeeDee. It's not going to come from Chris Olave. Take a look. Did I say rambling? You know I meant shambling. Anyway, let's take a look at some of the highlights from week 2 from Antoine Megatron versus Troy. On the one, we know that James Cook is going to score here. So this isn't too bad. 1 yard score. If you're Troy, you're feeling like you're still alive. You still got it. But then we're here at the 50. This shouldn't be a rushing touchdown. Surely not, right? Few yards, we'll take it from there. But no, Josh Allen gives it to James Cook, and he finds a seam and takes it absolutely to the house. Nobody touches him on this 50-yard dash. And that's not it. We got one more to see. All right, this one we figured they're just trying to take him offside, right? 4th and 3, motion goes in. Nope. Here comes James Cook going to the outside on the flat, gets the ball all alone. The 2010 touchdown, number 3. Nobody there to even touch him. So this was kind of a shellacking, huh? I mean, 136-95. Megatron putting up pretty big points 2 weeks in a row. Last week, he just had the misfortune of facing Cuptis Chubb, who's been going thermonuclear the first couple of weeks. But I would say this says less about where Megatron is heading this season and more about how Troy is joining me as the sewer rat squad of the league. The question is which of us will finish worse. Eventually, he'll get CMC back, so I imagine it'll be him. But for now, these are the garbage teams. And who would have thought preseason, Troy, one of the most storied managers in the league, and me, Nick, 2-time champion of the league, greatest of all time, as so many would say, both of us now battling for last place. Keep your eyes on that because it's going to be a real squeaker. I guess while we're discussing sewer rats, we should probably move on to the next game involving one of us. Lamar Loves Diggs against 666 Simon, our third sewer rat companion. Now, Simon scored the lowest score in the entire league with less than 75 last week. Now, less than 75 in week 1 means that not only is your team bad, you made it that way. So it's an especially painful feeling, I know. So all of your sympathies should go to the Devil 666 right now. As far as Lamar Loves Diggs, this is true. This is the guy that, he's the picks god. He won the pick'em contest last year. He probably knows more about pure football than anyone else in this league, but he has never won the Antoine and Friends Football League trophy, which shows that to be competitive in this league, you got to take your game up to an entire new level. So let's take a look at this matchup real quick just to see where the studs and duds were. Not a whole lot of studs on Team 666. His best player, unequivocally, was Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? 11 receptions, 119 yards. This is what you expected when you drafted him. He immediately got injured. And how bad does it say the injury is? Downplayed. Lower leg will be good. He might get forced out of maybe one game, but this isn't a season-ending injury. He's going to be okay. So Amon-Ra, you're feeling pretty good about. Rachaad White, I called out Bucky Irving as a must pickup for the league just because Rachaad is not getting it down on the ground. He's still one of the premier pass catching backs in the league, but it seems that they are trying to run the ball more in Tampa Bay, and I see Rachaad White's numbers being limited. Austin Eckler still got plenty of juice in the tank. He's looking great. I thought he had a wonderful game yesterday against the Giants. Yes, it was the Giants. Good old Ertz. Ertz, tight ends and Washington go together like milk and cookies. It is just a great combination. We have had them for years. Zach Ertz is looking like a great check down target for young Jaden Daniels. I think this is a fine play. Should continue to be fine all year. And then DK Metcalf against New England going absolutely bonkers in this matchup. And yet, putting all of that together, he still managed only 113 points. Not among the greatest in the league. CJ Stroud not bringing back round 1 value. Denver defense, I like it. The problem is there is no Denver offense to keep the defense off the field. So I would encourage you, Simon, not to hang on to the Denver defense. And the reason for that is Bo Nix is absolute garbage. And so he will continuously put opposing offenses in great field position because he will turn the ball over. He'll make bad decisions. He'll fumble the ball. He'll have the ball picked off. The point is, you do not want any part of Denver in general. And I say that as a Broncos fan. You got 6 points out of this in a game that they lost 6-13. There's going to be a lot of scores like that. So if you're relying on a kind of a ground and pound approach and you want to watch some really bad football games, go ahead and stick with the Denver defense. More love to you. And then Ladd McConkey. He had done well last week. He didn't do as well this week. Whatever. It's a dart throw. You got to love those. Moving over to Lamar loves Diggs. Now, this is one of the championship contenders in the league, at least at this early stage, right? He's never won it before. He's gotten most points for a couple of times. He's gotten the playoffs a couple of times. So there's obviously an element of luck involved in all this. But this team is looking dynamite. Lamar Jackson, this is a bad game for him at 16 points. This is a game in which he lost the game, still got 16 points. Nico Collins is the wide receiver one in Houston. I don't care what anybody says about Stephon Diggs. Nico is looking incredible, 135, 8 receptions, and a touchdown. You'll love those numbers. And this is from a gun-slinging quarterback. Surprising that CJ Stroud was only able to accomplish 14 points on the day with that total, but it comes down to touchdowns. I mean, our league really punishes interceptions and does not reward passing touchdowns that much. So really, and I blame our commissioner for this because he likes to play mobile quarterbacks, and I don't think it's a mistake he set the rules up this way. The way that it's set up is you get way more value out of a shitty real world quarterback that runs than somebody who stays in the pocket, completes a lot of passes, wins a lot of games. But again, if he gets one pick, boom, bad day. If he doesn't get 3 touchdown passes on the day, boom, bad day. But if he rushes for 60 yards and a touchdown, he's automatically going to be having a great day. So Lamar Jackson, king of those. Personally, this is just me whining about mobile QBs and how they're outsized importance in the Superflex League. That can all be discussed at a later time. Kyren Williams, for all of the consternation about him returning punt returns, and he's not going to be used as much in the new Rams offense, and his role is slipping. Bullshit. 15 points. He's still looking like a wide receiver, wide receiver. Running back 1, if not very high end 2. So I'm very happy with Kyren Williams' performance thus far through the season. Devontae Smith, the Slim Reaper. With A.J. Brown gone especially, Devontae Smith is just going to continue to cook. So I think he's got a really strong asset here with Devontae Smith. Devon Achane, I mean, once Tua went out, it was like Skylar Thompson only knew how to throw to one guy, Devon Achane. Now, the concern with Devon Achane is that his utilization is now through the roof. I mean, he had something like 25, almost 30 touches last game. 96 rushing yards, 7 receptions for 69 receiving yards. That's an incredible total. I would be surprised if he is able to repeat that and to make that a consistent feature of his game. Because right now, with Tua out, Jalen Waddle was, he had a head injury, then he came back into the game. I just feel like this offense cannot function with just Devon Achane, and the numbers bear it out. They lost by 3 scores to the Bills. Well, I have egg on my face because even though the the Dolphins lost by 3 scores leaning on Achane, he really didn't take a lot of punishment in the hits that he was taking through all those receptions and rushes. So forget that part of what I said. I still think that it's a bad idea if you want to win to lean on Achane, but as far as wear and tear to his body, I thought they did a really good job of getting it to him in space and making sure that he was in a position to protect himself. So, Achane looking good going forward. Cole Kmet, people sleep on the Chicago tight end, but I think he's actually pretty good. And then Stephon Diggs, quieter game than he had last week against Chicago. Chicago, a very stingy defense. And then finally, Sam Darnold, probably the pickup of the week. The guy is already returning QB1 numbers. The question is, what happens if Justin Jefferson is forced to miss extended time? Does Sam Darnold continue to deliver these QB1 numbers, or does he fall back to earth a little bit? Remains to be seen. And then the New York Jets against Tennessee. Will Levis is a turnover machine. Not really surprised to see that. So, going to our picks, our plays of the game. I think I'm going to have to focus on there's three players. They all kind of contributed to the win, but I want to see you a play from each of them. So take a look. Well, I have egg on my face because even though the Dolphins lost by 3 scores leaning on Achane, he really didn't take a lot of punishment in the hits that he was taking through all those receptions and rushes. So forget that part of what I said. I still think that it's a bad idea if you want to win to lean on Achane, but as far as wear and tear to his body, I thought they did a really good job of getting it to him in space and making sure that he was in a position to protect himself. So Achane looking good going forward. All right. First of all, let's start with Sam Darnold because the box score shows he had a great game, but I'm concerned that it was a little reliant on Justin Jefferson, who left the game with an injury. So let's check out the huge Sam Darnold play that led to the touchdown and ask yourself, how likely is he to replicate that in future games? You see, my concern is there's a 97-yard touchdown throw to Justin Jefferson. How does he do this without Justin Jefferson? Look at that. I mean, he outruns everybody, he jukes out everybody. Is there anyone else on the Vikings that can do that? I don't know if Sam Darnold's going to have quite the value going forward. Now, this last guy, I think, is going to be an MVP for Drew's Tomb all season long. I already spoke about him a little bit. Nico Collins. Let's go check out the touchdown that he got that really sealed the deal on this game. All right, nothing too fancy. About 30 yards out. CJ is looking at him the whole way. And look at the way that he splits the defenders, gets into the end zone. Textbook. All right. This one I want to share just because you typically don't see people of this size scoring like this in the red zone. There's a reason they call him the Slim Reaper, and it's grabs like that between two defenders. Unreal. This might have been my game of the week, and I know the score doesn't necessarily reflect that. Um, Garth Maul did end up winning by almost 20 points, but let me tell you, this was a nail biter the entire way. You know, first Brees Hall, Travis Etienne, Zach Charbonnet, Baker Mayfield, all of them put in stellar performances in the opening window that made Carr feel like, okay, I've got it. I run away with this thing. This isn't going to be close. And then in maybe, I don't know, 3 minutes of play, Marvin Harrison Jr. made this a game. He made this a game. And I want to show you the clip right now because it was my jaw dropped. So remember, folks, at this point, Carr has a healthy lead, probably a 80 to 90% chance of winning on Yahoo. And then this happens. Nothing special. Kyler Murray just in the shotgun. Looks right, looks left. Deep pass, and then boom, back of the end zone to Marvin Harrison. That didn't even look like a catch, but it was. And now from 60 yards out, another Kyler Murray play action, looks to the right, heaves it to an open Marvin Harrison in stride, who just takes it all the way to the house with the extension. Oh my goodness. So now it's a game. Raul has just scored 29 points in about 2 seconds. And all he needs to be able to beat Kara, who has no more players left, is he needs another 23 points between uh Marvin Harrison Jr. and Tank Dell, who's looking like that's a plus matchup. Houston should be throwing a lot. That's all he needs. 20 points, 2 players, and he's already gotten 29 in the first few seconds of the first quarter. But then what happens? Yeah. Those 2 receptions for a touchdown end up being basically all he does all game. He gets 2 more receptions, but nothing to really move the needle. And then Tank Dell, 16 rushing yards, 1 reception for -3 yards. And that's how it goes. This goes from being a potential game of the week to just a blowout win by Garth Mall. Next up, we're getting into the matchup between Cup This Chubb and KD over TDs, 2 Division 1 teams, both of whom have come out strong. But Cup This Chubb has emerged early as my championship pick for the entire league. I said he was going to make the playoffs for the second consecutive year after looking at his post-draft team, but even with the loss of Cooper Kupp in last night's game, I just feel like the depth on this roster is going to take him a long way. Doesn't help to have a 40 burger drop by your flex position in the middle of the game. And we'll show each and every Alvin Kamara touchdown in just a little bit here. A lot of injuries starting to plague these teams. Justin Jefferson for KDs over TDs. He is being shown as questionable, diagnosed with a quad contusion. Contusion is a fancy word for bruise. So he should actually be okay. Having Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel on the same team, a little bit interesting, limits your week to week upside. I know maybe it reduces your variance a little bit because you've got at least both of the main weapons on the offense and one of them should be getting the ball, but not looking great so far. Travis Kelce. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this, but Travis Kelce looks like a bust this year. And I don't think it's because Travis Kelce is no longer good. My suspicion is that they are going to save him as much as possible for the playoffs because nothing matters more to this Chiefs team than a three-peat in the Super Bowl. So Travis Kelce, huge disappointment in fantasy, but I think in real life he's going to continue to show that he's still there. He's still the main guy. Deebo Samuel doubtful. In line for a multi-game absence after straining his calves. What is going on with the 49ers and calf injuries? First, you had Christian McCaffrey with a calf injury that was supposed to bring him back by week 1. Now he's on IR. Next, you got Deebo Samuel also dealing with a calf injury. So no more competition for Jordan Mason in the backfield. That's great news for Antoine as he looks to capitalize on keeping Jordan Mason at least for the first few weeks before CMC and Deebo come back. Tyjae Spear, I feel bad for all the hype that went into this year saying Tyjae Spear is the guy. He's the guy. He's going to be the lead back in Tennessee. I'm so smart. I know football so goddamn well. Well, guess what? Tony Pollard is the lead back in Tennessee. Tyjae Spears is a guy. He's a guy. He had 20 rushing yards, 2 receptions, 11 reception yards. I mean, he's a handcuff at this point. He's not even a standalone player. He's a handcuff for Tony Pollard. Bijan Robinson looking like Bijan Robinson doing Bijan Robinson things in the huge upset win last night. I had the Eagles -6.5 as my bonus bet of the week. I won my first bonus pick of the week with the Chargers, but man, the Eagles and primetime Kirk. That bet was really just about primetime Kirk, and he let me down. And if you look back the last couple seasons, primetime Kirk is becoming less and less of a reliable bet to fade against. So something to be aware of. Dak Prescott with 13 points, that's not going to get it done. Brandon Ayuk 8 points. I mean, a lot of these are just middling kind of scores. Deshaun Watson, our league sex offender, did not do terribly well. I mean, 15 points for a quarterback is pretty middle of the road for the way our scoring is set up. Again, I'm going to keep saying this. Either make it 1 point minus for interceptions or 6-point quarterback touchdowns, because otherwise you are making quarterbacks that aren't actually good, like Justin Fields, like Caleb Williams. Suddenly those become premium targets and they are not actually good quarterbacks. So I doth protest to our commissioner. Fix the QB scoring. I don't want to bring down the mobility scoring. I want to bring up the passer scoring. Make it so that passing, a quarterback's main job, is actually valued as part of the league. So, again, without the rushing touchdown here, he would have been useless. If this were a passing touchdown instead of a rushing touchdown, 13 points, that's terrible. Boo, I say. Boo. Now, let's take a look over at Cup This Chubb. Again, arguably the league MVP so far through week 2. He's put up dominant performances in both. I don't believe he got the highest score this week. That honor goes to True, and Lamar loves Diggs. But part of that is Christian Kupp, or part of that is Cooper Kupp. Got injured, only ended up with 7. But Zay Flowers, 91 reception yards, 7 receptions, and a touchdown. Jonathan Taylor, 103 rushing yards, doesn't even need that touchdown. Saquon Barkley, again, 17 points, doesn't need that touchdown. 95 rushing yards, 4 receptions, or 21 receiving yards. Brock Bowers, what did I say about Brock Bowers? I said when I was going through everybody's list of good picks and back picks that Brock Bowers was a great choice. He was dominant at Georgia. He's already dominating in the NFL. He's already looking like the number 2 target on the Raiders. This is just going to get better and better and better. And by the way, almost 100 yards off of 9 receptions yesterday. Great pickup in the tight end position. And then Alvin Kamara. I mean, there is no question who the player of this game was. We're going to show all 4 touchdowns here in a second. I mean, Kamara showed us what makes Kamara a special player, dominating the Dallas Cowboys 44-19 on the road. So, for all those people that said Alvin Kamara is getting older, oh, he's got less juice in his legs, oh, the situation, with the New Orleans Saints being so terrible, oh, that's a bad situation. The New Orleans Saints have gone out and proved the entire league wrong with 2 absolute thrashings. First team in NFL history, going back to include last season, to score 41 points or more in 3 consecutive games. So the New Orleans offense is for real. Justin Herbert, pretty disappointing performance. I'm not sure this is going to get a lot better either, because even though Justin Herbert is known as like a gunslinging cannon of an arm QB, this team wants to run the ball. This team wants to run the ball. And so you are going to see limited passing opportunities for Justin Herbert as we go forward here. Maybe that's part of the plan. Maybe we start mixing in more play action. Maybe we start seeing some of those play actions develop into deep threats. But right now, I'm not seeing it. So before we move on, to our final game of this week. Let's go ahead and check out those Alvin Kamara touchdowns, shall we? All right, touchdown number one. We're in the green zone. This is an easy handoff. That was in the I formation. That's too easy for Alvin. Too easy. All right, next. Here comes Alvin on the little quick screen. Oh my God. He's going to take it all the way. That's over 50 yards on just a little screen pass. Just a little screen pass. Are you kidding me? All right, back to Kamara. Here we go. Just too easy. Nobody even touches him on that one. Just a little stretch route. Okay, surely this one is going to Alvin Kamara, right? Yes, it is. Oh my God. The squeeze on that one turned into Gumby on that. We had a lot of blowouts this week, didn't we? So I don't really have a game of the week, frankly, because none of you deserved it. But the closest thing that came to it was Otto Pickens against underdog anchor, whatever champ. Will versus Warren. That is going to be our game of the week. Let's check out what made it so, I don't know, competitive? We'll see. So here we are. Isn't this swell? Look at this, 124 to 142. Otto Pickens was winning this basically the entire way. It started in great fashion with Will doing a classic Will and playing someone who is not active in his running back 2 slot. So, yay. Then we had Devontae Adams and Malik Neighbors really blew up, made this into a competitive game. Mike Evans, relatively quiet. He's good for 1 or 2 to 3 of these a game, but a 7.2 in a down game is still pretty good. But again, it is Devontae Adams, Malik Neighbors, and you figured this is going to be a low score for Jaden Daniels. These Washington Giants games are always super, super competitive and low scoring. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt there. But Devontae Adams, Malik Neighbors, that's really all there is to say about this team. And I'll show the Malik Neighbors touchdown in a little bit because that was pretty crazy. On Warren's side, Kyler Murray, I remember the part of the draft where Warren reached over Lamar Jackson and he took Kyler Murray. And I think he's going to be very, very happy all season that he made that decision because Kyler Murray looks like a cheat code out there. Calvin Ridley, new home on the Tennessee Titans. He's got Will Levis throwing to him, which, God, that is just terrible. But having Hopkins on the other side keeps him from being double covered, gives him some nice opportunities to be schemed open. I really like Calvin Ridley. And this is my favorite trio of the entire league. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Samuel Porta, all on the Detroit Lions. Typically, you don't see the stack being in the running back room on a team. And even rarer still, do you see both running backs finishing with over 16 points in each of the last 2 weeks. Jahmyr Gibbs getting it done with those receiving yards. This is the same thing he did last week. Not as good on the ground. Well, in this case, he was much better on the ground than David Montgomery. But David Montgomery is getting those red zone touches. Jahmyr Gibbs is just getting everything else. And the two of them together is lightning in a bottle. I don't know that it's possible that you'll see one of these two get like 30 in a week. But together, they seem guaranteed for 30 in a week. So you got to love that. Sam Laporta, at what he was available in the draft, it would have been crazy for Warren to pass on him. That being said, 3.3, you hate to see that from the young tight end. And then Kirk Primetime Kirk. This isn't an especially fantastic fantasy score, or but for real life, for Kirk to pull this off, my hat's off to him. So, what are going to be our plays of the game? I want to show the Malik Neighbors touchdown just because I thought it was cool. But ultimately, it's going to be Rashee Rice and Calvin Ridley who won this game for Warren. Let's take a look. When I said Malik Neighbors had a crazy touchdown, I was lying. He had 10 receptions for 127 yards, and then he had a 4-yard touchdown, so I'm not going to show that. But I will show the 2 touchdowns of the week from Warren's team since he was the victorious team. You know, normally I hate end around touchdowns, but this one from Calvin Ridley just works absolutely perfectly. Gotta love it. Now, this was really Calvin Ridley's play of the game. I mean, look at this. They're on the 40-yard line. Quick little motion. Aaron Rodgers looks downfield, maybe 3 seconds, and then just heaves it 30 yards downfield into double coverage right to Calvin Ridley for the touchdown. Even the cameraman thought it was an INT. Last but certainly not least, Cara would kill me if I didn't include this in the weekly wrap up. But this pass to Brees Hall, this is why she picked him number 1 overall. I mean, from a running back, God. And that's it for your week 2 wrap up of the NFL and the Antoine and Friends Football League. Please leave me a comment to let me know what you think of these videos. These are running a little bit on the longer side, and I may try to do a couple of shorter episodes throughout the week. So please, please, please give me your comments, send me a message, give me some kind of feedback to let me know how I can improve the show. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Next week, I'll see you with the pick 6 coming sometime in the next couple days. Whoa, whoa, whoa. There's something extremely important I've forgotten, and that's the Capper contest. Last week, we had Cup This Chubb take a commanding lead with a 3-0 start. This week, we've had some not as stellar performances, so I'm going to go ahead and post all of the scores for everybody so far. And then at the end, I'll show you the overall leader of the Capper contest through week 2. Enjoy, you guys.